There is a limitation, shall we say, to our English language when it comes to the expression of love. Not sure if you've experienced this. One cannot truly make a distinction between love for God and love for pizza. It is communicated the same way. Although surely the degree of love differs, the intensity, the intentionality of our love cannot be fully communicated through the English language. However, the ancient Greeks were much more intentional about this. They created at least 8 different words, 8 different types of love. From self-love all the way to manic obsession. Only about half of those ancient Greek words made it into the Bible. Eros, which refers to romantic love. Philia, which refers to friendship love. Storge, which refers to family love or parental love. And agape, which refers to sacrificial, unconditional, selfless love. And that is the love that Christ embodies. And today's wisdom invites us to ponder such a love. Immediately after Judas slips away into the night to betray Jesus, Jesus turns to the remaining disciples and says, I have a new commandment. A new direct commandment, undeniable charge. Love each other. As I have loved you, you should love one another. This is not an ideology. It is not something we get to parse out. It is not some theoretical motif, but instead it is meant to be embodied. And so agape love is self-giving. It's sacrificial. It is unconditional. It's identifiable. It is how the world will know that we belong to Jesus. The context of this narrative, just hours before, listen to this, Jesus bends down, washes the feet of his disciples. And you must understand, in antiquity, foot washing was an act of hospitality, an act of humility, an act of caring. And after he washed their feet, he told them, do for one another what I have for you. Which is nearly an identical call, and yet a concrete visual to go along with it. To love like this, to wash someone's feet, is to serve, is to welcome with generosity, with presence. It is to reflect the very heart of Christ to one another. This is the visible sign of a disciple of Jesus, to provide radical hospitality and tangible love. But what's so fascinating to me is how this commandment derives from the shadows of betrayal. Perhaps Judas's life was rooted in false narratives, perhaps in toxic ideas of self and others. But nevertheless, Jesus answers the entire moment with love. However, to love like Jesus loves us, does not come easily. It takes deep inner work, time, reflection. It takes sacrifice. It takes a willingness to be changed. I was in Los Angeles this past week, and on my flight to LA, I came across a book titled Rewire, where this author, her name is Nicole Vignola, she's a neuroscientist and a psychologist, and she challenges her readers with a bold truth that I think all humanity needs to listen to. You are not stuck with the thoughts you inherited. Did you hear me? You are not stuck with the thoughts you inherited. She asserts that how we see ourselves and how we think others perceive us or see us is deeply shaped by our upbringing, by our culture, our race, our ethnicity, our religion, our environment. From a young age, we absorb what's called observation knowledge, learning how to think, how to feel, how to see ourselves by watching others around us. Our peers, our parents, our family members. But often that pre-programming plants toxic ideas in us. Like, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good looking enough, not worthy to be loved. And it doesn't stop there. In fact, our brain, all of our brains are wired with negativity bias, as she says. A term that essentially says that we naturally hold on to criticism more tightly than praise. And through another term, confirmation bias, we begin to scan the universe all over the place for evidence that those lies about us are true. Did you hear me? And if left unchecked, this creates an entire personal kind of template, shall we say, an internal lens by which we see ourselves, others, and the entire world. And although Nicole offers various pathways to break through such a reality, is this, that I want to pause because I cannot dislodge myself from this meaning of agape love and from Nicole's point here. What if our internal personal template, what if the way we see ourselves, the way we see others in the entire world is distorted? And somehow has distorted our perspective of love for self and for others. It is to say, if one cannot love oneself, how can one love others? If one is critical of self, then surely we will be critical of others. You see, this love your neighbor call, this love each other foundational teaching, this baseline, I would say to you, kind of starting point and of Christianity has existed for as long as we know it, and yet the American Christian church continues to fail miserably at this commandment, knowing that these are red letters, right? These are words from Jesus' mouth directly, and Christians are still terribly loving one another. It's evident. It's evident by the emptiness of our houses of worship. It's evident by the lack of vitality in our communities, by the lack of diversity, racial, economic, accessibility, gender, identity, sexuality. It's evident by the lack of its diversity, but it's even more noticeable in the lack of influence in the society and in the public square. This is not to say, though, that agape love isn't happening. It just means that one would imagine by now that the American Christian church and its disciples of Jesus would have figured out how to love each other. Despite its lamenting history, despite its genocide of indigenous peoples, despite its stealing of their lands, despite the enslavement, lynching, and Jim Crowing of black bodies, it still has not learned to love one another. In fact, it continues today in its white supremacist and racist acts by supporting the current administration that is hunting down immigrants like fugitives. Although they do it by raiding their places of work and the schools of their children. Not so criminal. Perhaps these immigrants are simply working hard and taking care of their children like any other would. And yet to support a direct erasure of black history, queer and trans history, of queer and trans people, defunding nonprofit organizations that are caring for the most vulnerable in our society. I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound like agape love to me. It doesn't sound like selfless, unconditional, selfless love. But see, my dearly beloved, Calvary by the sea, my siblings in Christ, mis hermanos y mis hermanas, I want to submit to you that love for each other begins with love for self. It begins by dismantling the negative pre-programmed toxicity about self. That perhaps it begins with you being kind to yourself, being generous with self, to reclaim your true identity in God. You are welcome. You are loved. You are safe. And God is happy with you, truly. And science confirms it. If you have a brain, you can change it. I don't say it. Science says it. Age does not matter. This idea that I cannot change any more into my later stage of life is not true. Everyone has the capacity to reshape their mind, their self-image, and listen to this, their love. Everyone can be rewired. I end with this. If agape love means to love like Jesus, and I believe it will take some humble posturing, a hospitable approach. And I wonder, if you look around this room, who in this room might you want to know more? Is there someone that is being overlooked, that needs a friend? Then approach them with an invitation. Actually put this ancient wisdom practice into today's world. Invite someone to coffee, tea, dinner this week. Maybe you go out next Sunday after worship. See, Hawaii, if we're honest, is a very lonely and isolated place, especially for those without family nearby. And perhaps all we need to do is to take it a step further. Invite someone, connect with someone, show hospitality to someone. Or perhaps you want to host an Ohana group, you want to invite a few more people to your place, and you want to have this space to offer community and connection. It's not so much about a big house or the fancy food, it's more about an open heart of generosity and a willingness to practice agape love. I guess what I'm submitting to you this morning is that it's not enough to know that you should love your neighbor. That it actually matters that you practice it. No wonder we haven't learned to love one another. We're not practicing it as much as we should. Perhaps it's also about this. Loving is sharing your gifts, your teaching gifts, your leadership gifts, your musical gifts. There are plenty of programs in the church with the youth, with the children, music. I mean, there's property stuff. I mean, if a program does not exist, start it. You know, I'm surely someone will come and join you in it. But thankfully, we have a visual of Christ's love. It is selfless, full of humility, generosity, and service, an expression of hospitality. There is enough there, enough of an opening, enough of a hint, enough of a glimpse of what it looks like to love each other as Jesus loved us. He welcomes us, washes our feet, heals us, renews us, loves us, and then sends us away to do the same with others. And perhaps the good news of Jesus Christ is simply this: you are truly, fully loved. You are more than enough, already successful, already smart, lovely, beautiful, already a good parent, already a good spouse, already a good human being, a saint through Christ. And all you need to go now to do is share it. Share that same love with one another. Word of God and word of life, and we all say together, thanks be to God.